Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. This episode, we're going to talk about kind of some high-level thoughts and some of our favorite or maybe our least favorite coaching change moves. But first, speaking of coaches, we got to talk about the just I mean I have I dug up on this a little bit and I have some data as to why it happened, but it still makes no sense that Bill Belichick, the winningest coach, one of the, I don't know, he might be the number one wins in the league or number two, something like that, but definitely the most Super Bowl wins as a coach, period. Been to nine Super Bowls, the highest playoff wins, and he did not get in the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. And the whole world is in uproar, and everyone said their piece on, on TV, on blogs, on social media, everything. They've said everything, all that needs to be said. It's a travesty. It's horrible. He should be in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, because he's one of the most winningest coaches of all time. But I think I kind of heard it's not justified, but the possible reason as to why. And that's because the Hall of Fame voting is stupid. It's just awful. The process is just the worst process ever, which this might be widely known and I just heard of it, which is possible. But the way that the voting goes is coaches and owners get mixed in with players on the vote to vote in. And when there's five possible candidates, which there was this round, only three can get in.
Yes.
And that is ridiculous.
Stupid.
A, why are coaches and owners mixing with players? They should be their own group, their own grouping to be voted in. So if you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, who's going to get in the Hall of Fame? Bill Belichick, the coach of the Patriots, or the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft? That's going to be split votes right there already. And then you have three actual players that the voting committee loves to vote the players in over coaches and owners and GMs all the time. They vote players first. And so Bill Belichick already had all the hands against him. Why in the world are we having coaches and owners mixed in with players? That's just silly. The only voting three out of the five in, that that's kind of messed up too, but I'm not totally against that as I am. Why are we mixing coaches and owners with players? Because the coaches and owners are always going to be second fiddle to the players, always, when it comes to voting. So, I mean, even with that, Bill Belichick should have got in over some of the other guys. I don't even remember some of these names, but there was like the third string receiver for the 49ers on their Super Bowl runs. Okay, so we're going to vote the third string receiver of the 49ers as opposed to the head coach of the winningest like dynasty in the history of the NFL. That makes zero sense. But come on, committee, get the coaches and the owners out of that vote, have their own pool of voting, and then everything would be much more fair. That's my 2 cents on it. Everyone said that Bill Belichick got hosed, he got robbed. Absolutely. They gave all the numbers, all the stats, all the complaints, all the takes they had. Absolutely all makes sense. But where I'm at is the process is messed up. That needs to get fixed.
Yeah, I just was looking at it here just to see if they released because we still don't know who all of the classes, correct? They're still working through that.
I think so. I think so. Because
I think we
I heard that I forgot who it was, but there's like a quarterback that didn't make it either, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know there
Eli
was a
Manning
quarterback
is the
voted in.
one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't even know he was in the running. So yeah, they haven't voted, they haven't released that information, but
I mean, I will say I think that I do think that Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. He needs to be in there eventually. That's my opinion,
yes,
just
but
because
first ballot, I'm totally fine that he didn't make first ballot
well, this
because
is
Eli
second
Manning.
ballot.
Oh, this okay. This is second. That's right. That's right.
This is the second ballot, and so but that's besides the point. But I the part that I think is dumb about the Hall of Fame is how they put in too few players. There's no reason to have these classes be so tiny. I
hmm
think it's silly.
hmm
You should have 10 player class or 10 people classes. Like there should be 10 people at minimum. There's just too many players that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I think the reason that they don't is they are intentionally making it a scarce honor. They're
Hmm.
intentionally making it even more difficult. But it's like, here's the part I'm frustrated about. How can people honestly fairly judge like older players, right? Like, if you have players coming in from the
Hmm.
80s and 70s, you weren't around. You don't remember what those players played
Yep.
like. And so, like, I think that that factors into the Bill Belichick thing, though, because I think that there will be like a sympathy case. We just have to get this guy in. You have to
Hmm.
get him in because of there's only so many spots. You have to give up this spot. And then you start working through and it becomes this game of, well, does Bill Belichick really deserve it? Does he have to get in? Oh, he's going to get in. Like, I could see people saying, hey, listen, he's going to get in. He's going to be fine. Let's just not do
Hmm.
it this year because we got to get, this player that we've kept out for so long because of this scarce class. And so
Yep.
therefore we can't give him his honor. We got to make sure to take care of these other people first. Or, Robert Kraft is an owner. We got to make sure to take care of him first. And then we can go back and take care of Bill Belichick. And like I'm just saying, like these are the type of mental games that they play because of the way that they scarce out the class. So I think that's part of the
Hmm.
problem. I do think that there are legitimate other things that came up with the debate for Bill Belichick. I mentioned it in the chat, but I think it's worth
Hmm.
bringing up here. And it's not me saying it's how I would have voted, but I think it's reasons why people voted the way they did. The first factor is, and this is really dumb, and I read it in an ESPN article, and I wanted to almost like literally grab the article and like toss it into a ball and throw it in the trash because it's so stupid. But Spygate came up, and
Hmm.
even if this is like the Pete Rose argument in baseball,
Hmm.
even if he did something that was unethical, the overall totality of his career, like let me put it this way. If Sean Payton doesn't go on the Hall of Fame because of Bountygate, I would say that's a disappointment. I think he did enough in his career as a coach with Drew Brees to at least some point get into the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying first ballot, second ballot. I'm just saying I think he's done enough to get that honor. If Dick Vermeil, who won a Super Bowl with the Rams, they went to the Super Bowl with the Eagles, got into the Hall of Fame. Certainly, Sean Payton has done enough to at least eventually get into the same
Well,
group.
the only Super Bowl he won was because of Bountygate.
I hear what you're saying. And I know I'm talking to the wrong person about this. For the record, I'm talking to the wrong person about this issue. I still think he's done my point is that if Spygate is the reason you didn't vote for Bill Belichick, I think that that is a very low
Ab
blow.
Absolutely. And my comparison to both of those is if you take Spygate away from Bill Belichick, does that take one Super Bowl away? Then he has, oh, I'm sorry, he only has five or something like that. He only has six. As opposed to Sean Payton, you take Bountygate away, he has zero.
I mean, I think it's hard to say zero. I just think that things are a little different, right? If you really did cheat and obtain information in an illegal manner to give you the upper hand, that's a lot different than, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to go and cause pain to this other person.
Which is illegal.
I mean, I hear you, but does that, all I'm saying, Andrew, is the goal of a defensive lineman is to sack the quarterback. That goal doesn't
Right.
change whether there's money there or not.
Right. But still, that's the only Super Bowl win he has is off of that controversy.
I hear what you're saying, but you're saying that like that doesn't include the fact that Brett Favre throws a boneheaded interception that puts the Saints into the Super Bowl.
Right. Right. But he probably had 18 ribs broken at that point.
Yeah, obviously this is one we're not going to agree on, and that's fine. But
And my biggest point on that is if we're taking the controversies away, that takes away Sean Payton's only Super Bowl run. Outside of that Super Bowl run, he's just won some playoff games but never made it back to the Super Bowl.
well,
If we're taking the one
yes,
controversy away from Bill Belichick, he made five other
he
Super
made
Bowls.
he made other Super Bowls. I still think that he did other is okay. Put it this way: um, Air Coryell, Don Coryell with the Chargers, never
Mm,
won a Super Bowl, but he's in the Hall of Fame for what he did for
hmm.
offenses. Should he not be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't win any Super Bowls?
Well, no, but I'm just comparing the apples comparison of the controversies. Did he have any controversies? Probably not. But Bill Belichick has his controversy, sure. But
Uh-huh.
outside that one, he still has 5 or 6 Super Bowl wins. And then Sean Payton, you brought him up. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he shouldn't be,
Uh-huh.
but you're saying he had a Super Bowl win, so he should be in. Like, well, that's his
That's not why I'm saying he
controversy.
should be in. That's
Okay.
that's not why I'm saying he should be in. I'm just saying he has won a Super Bowl. Like I'm saying, if you
Hmm.
go down a list, that is a question they would ask. No, I think that Sean, we're going down a different rabbit hole, Andrew, because
We are,
clearly
and this is
you are
awesome.
you are incredibly fired up about this, and that's fair. But I'm just saying that he definitely has played a role in revolutionizing offenses. Like the way offenses look changed because of Sean Payton. It has. I'm not
Outside
saying
the
that.
Broncos against the Patriots.
Yes, that's all fair. Anyway, I feel like that my point went completely down a different rabbit hole. Now it's going to become Lance Sayers loves Sean Payton, wants him in the Hall of Fame, believes he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, like, perfect. They got everything wrong. Wonderful.
And that's what
So
media is all about.
they sure are, man. Let's take this and stretch it a mile. Um,
Hmm.
but anyway, my point was is just there's the name is slightly tarnished, right? I mean, Bill Belichick name is whatever you want to say. It's slightly tarnished because of Spygate.
Hmm.
So
And because of past couple years with his girlfriend in North Carolina, and
that
all,
certainly doesn't
there's
help.
unfortunately things, but yeah, they should not have kept him out of the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Now can I get to the legitimate reasons? I had to get the dumb reason out of the way, which
Yes,
was the one I said I threw in the trash. So
yes.
anyway, I'm glad we got the Bounty Gate discussion out of the way, and now
Hmm.
okay, moving on. I think a legitimate concern that people have, and I really do think this came up in the room, was listen, we saw what Brady looked like without Belichick, and we saw what Belichick looked like without Brady. And I think that people made the argument of maybe he's not that good. I'm telling you, recency bias is real. And what we saw with Bill Belichick in the last few seasons was not pretty. It wasn't.
If that's the case, then those voters need to be all fired because you
I
can't
hear
take
you.
two things away. They're both lockstep. Tom Brady's success is in lockstep with Bill Belichick's
I hear you.
success.
I hear
I
you.
know Tom Brady won a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, but Bill Belichick's the one that drafted Tom Brady in the 6th round. No one else did. Bill Belichick's
You're right.
helped develop Tom Brady when
Yes.
his first year he struggled poorly. So Bill Belichick gets a ton of credit for Tom Brady. And if the voters are going the way that you said, which I don't disagree with, by the way, I hear what you're saying. If
It's
that is their
just
logic, they all need to be fired.
it's just funny because like you're not even letting me finish making the straw man and you're already like placing it, putting it on fire. You're just like, no, this is stupid. This is a stupid argument. I'm just gonna go ahead and set this ablaze because this is just a dumb argument. So this is gonna be Dallin's episode, by the way. He's gonna be very happy that we're putting this
Mm-hmm.
out here. So
Hmm.
but I'm just saying I am so confident, Andrew, that this was a talking point. I am so
Oh, for sure.
confident that this
I
came up for
don't
the
disagree with
voters
that.
and they
Yeah.
decided, you know what, he doesn't deserve the honor. Am I saying that? I just want to say this one more time. Am I saying that Bill Belichick did not deserve to go into the Hall of Fame? No. Go ahead and put that in the clip for everyone, Andrew. Thank
There
you.
you go. Clip that.
Um, but I think that that was an argument. Okay, let's get to the second
Hmm.
argument. The second argument is that um, Bill Belichick's coaching tree is weak, and that is just a matter of fact.
I can't argue that. There's like I can only think of 2 guys in the league right now that has any ties to Belichick that's having success. That's Vrabel, ironically. That wasn't part of his coaching tree, but that was on his team. And then Flores. That's the only 2 guys I can think of that's having
I mean,
success.
I see what you're saying about coaching tree, but I would not say that Vrabel's time in Houston played a major factor in
That's
his
fair.
career. I
That's
think that,
fair.
that his career with the New England Patriots is what's made him a great coach. Like
Hmm.
the Texans just lucked into the fact that he was willing to become their defensive coordinator. That was luck. Like that was straight luck that he was willing to do that, and he did such a phenomenal job for the team. Um,
Hmm.
but it is a strong air. Like And hey, that's all that
Hmm.
matters, right? But you have one solid guy who's in the Super Bowl right now, and Bill Belichick deserves credit for that. But outside of that, not pretty. Like, let's give another example, right? Like where people could say, well, Lance, you're not being fair, right? You're not bringing up other things. Andy Reid's coaching tree looks way better. The amount of people that became head coaches is way better. John Harbaugh is one of his greatest successes, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, has had a great career. Sean McDermott, great coach. Brad Childress was I'd say, respectable coach in the Vikings. He was not a failure. He was not a like wide success, but he wasn't terrible. He had a decent career with the Vikings. Um, I'm trying to think of Doug Peterson, won a Super Bowl, comes from the Andy Reid tree. Like that's already two coaches right there that have won Super Bowls directly tied to Andy Reid. And I'm trying to think of the guy who's the coach for the Carolina Panthers. Ron Rivera was an Andy Reid disciple. He had success in Carolina and went to a Super Bowl. I mean, just right there, right? And that's not even all the coaches we can tie back to. I mean, Matt Nagy became a coach. There's other people I could think of if we
Hmm.
sat here long enough and went down the rabbit hole. But there's plenty of people that under Andy Reid have become successful coaches. And that is a credit to Andy Reid. But all that being said, if your reason for keeping Bill Belichick out is because, he was a bad coaching teacher, that is just asinine. That is
Hmm.
so silly and dumb and foolish and short-sighted. But I really do believe, Andrew, that those two factors played a role into why he was not put in the Hall of Fame. Third factor, and I think this is one that's probably the most realistic for what went into it. People don't like Bill Belichick. That is just the truth. He's not likable. He comes off very abrasive. He doesn't care. He doesn't try to please people. And as a result, that's going to burn bridges with people.
I just thought of something brilliant. I
What's
just thought
that?
of something brilliant. I It just came to me right now because I made the comment in our chat that Bill Belichick should leave North Carolina and coach the Cardinals, win a Super Bowl with them. That way he can kind of shove it in the face of the Hall of Fame voters. No, no, no. He needs to go coach the Raiders, where his quarterback
Mm,
is a part owner.
no, no,
And then he gets the number one pick. He gets Mendoza, and he gets
no,
all that cap space. That needs to happen. Come on, Tom
no.
Brady. Hire old coach to coach the team you own. Let's do it.
Andrew, we have talked about this in the past. I just want to remind you of something very important. Just like in free agency, when you pick up players that did something great 4 years ago, you don't, it's the same thing with coaches. That Bill Belichick is not what he was, and that's okay.
That's fair. And honestly, he should never have coached the college game. He is not a college football coach,
No. Yeah, I,
not
I would
at
agree with
all.
that.
And especially in the way that it is now, where recruiting is nowhere near the same. If North Carolina is not paying people,
Hmm.
then your team's going to suck. That's all it is to it, no matter how good of a
Well,
coach you are.
and it's frustrating, man, but I do think that Andy Reid's success with the Chiefs hurts Bill Belichick because Andy Reid has aged like a fine wine. He really has. He was a great
Hmm.
coach with the Eagles. He's always been a great coach with the Eagles. He was going to go in the Eagles Hall of Fame regardless of what his career ended like in
Hmm.
Kansas City. But it's easy. I'm saying me, I can look at, I rationalize, and there's part of me, I still feel like Andy Reid might be a better coach than Bill Belichick. He just didn't luck out with the same success. I'm just saying I can
Yeah.
make that logical argument that, um, I mean, making five NFC championship games and one Super Bowl, that is not easy. They should have won. But, once Andy Reid got Patrick Mahomes, the cheat code was there. And then they were just going on a winning streak. And who knows what would actually have happened this year if things worked out differently in Kansas City with a couple of catches and things
Hmm.
working out differently. I don't know. I'm not saying they would win the Super Bowl, but that they've been impressive. And I think that people unfairly compare the two coaches. And, you know, I agree with you on the Tom Brady front. The best argument I've heard about Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick allowed Tom Brady to become Tom Brady. If he was in another system where he didn't have a dominant defense, does he win
Hmm.
as many Super Bowls? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that Eagles Patriots Super Bowl, it was the Patriots defense that really played lights out.
Hmm.
Um,
And
that
that's credit to Belichick and not Brady there.
think about the most recent Rams Patriots Super Bowl. Was that really Tom Brady? I don't know.
That was Brian Flores.
Wow.
Hmm.
I mean,
He shut
yes,
down Jared Goff. Jared
he
Goff,
did.
that Rams offense that was high flying. Flores said, "Watch this."
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that, Andrew. I love how every time we're talking about things, you're somehow tying it back to the Vikings. It's awesome. It's
Hey,
hilarious.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I thought about it, but I wasn't going to. You brought it up. I was like, okay,
I
well,
mean,
reason
it's
why the
only
defense
fair.
is
I
so
mean,
good.
I've brought up the Eagles, right? But I mean, with legitimate,
Hmm.
like from an Andy Reid perspective. So anyway, all that to say, he should have been in there. He really should
Yes.
have. And I'm not here to say he shouldn't have been in there, but I do think it's important for people to acknowledge those arguments, to know that they are real. But here's the thing: you can still acknowledge them while still giving the recognition.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be either or.
And the whole panel should be fired.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the people that voted for him, it's not their fault.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
those that didn't vote for him.
exactly. Yep. And they should be going for burgers at McDonald's that we just talked about on our last episode. Anyway, should we move forward to some of our favorite head coaching hires so far? We have a little time left.
Yeah, no, let's do it.
Okay, there's two specifically for me that I was like, that's gonna be great, and I don't know if I like it or not, but it's gonna be great. And that's Stefanski to the Falcons. Great
Yeah,
hire.
yeah,
Great hire. I mean, that team has a lot of talent on their team, and their defense. I mean, they drafted very well last year. Outside that really stupid trade up that they did with the Rams, that was dumb. But some of their guys they got in the third round, like that safety from Notre Dame, man, I really wanted the Vikings to get him, but we weren't aggressive. We let the Falcons take them, and we didn't get to get them. But um, they drafted very well last year. They have a lot of good young pieces. Of course, Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts had a breakout year, like I mentioned in our chat. Which this is something that no one would have ever thought of. It's a big gap between the two, but Kyle Pitts was number two in fantasy scoring this year, and as far as tight ends go. Number one was Trey McBride by a lot, so it was a big gap. But Kyle Pitts was number two. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Sure enough, he was. That was wild to see. But now he's a free agent, so it's hard to see if the Falcons are going to bring him back or not. But this is a great hire. Stefanski is a great coach. Good for him to get out of Cleveland. I'm happy for him. He's going to have a lot of success in Atlanta. And that division all of a sudden got really interesting because the Panthers are up and coming. They got talent on that team. They're well coached. The Buccaneers still might have the best overall team in the division. Not saying that they're going to be the best in the division, but their team overall might be the best as far as just players go. And now the Falcons have possibly the best coach in the division. This is going to be a ton of fun. And the Saints are not going to lay down and say die. They got talent. They're well coached now too. This division is going to be interesting next year. I love the hire. Congrats to the Falcons. And the other hire I really like, and this is going to affect you, Harbaugh to the Giants.
I know.
And I mean, that was a brilliant hire. They paid him a ton of money, a long contract. I don't know if he's going to turn around in year one. Like I'm hearing people saying, "Oh, this is a playoff team." I don't know if I'm going that far in year one because it could take some time. They got young talent. I mean, the quarterback's awesome. We love what we're seeing from him. Malik Neighbors is going to come back from his torn ACL because he injured that toward the beginning of the year. He's going to come back. Scadaboo's going to come back. They still got good pieces on their D line. They need some help as far as another receiver and some secondary pieces. There are some holes on this team, but they have a good young core, and now they're going to be very well coached. I think in 2 years, 3 years, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. I don't know if it's going to all come to fruition next year. Like there are some people already predicting playoffs for them. I can't go that far because They need a lot of help. We'll see free agency. We'll see the draft. Maybe they get a lot of good pieces, but I can't go as far as playoffs yet. But they are going to be a good team within a couple of years for sure. So I love that hire.
I do think
I think that was, yeah,
can I add one little clause there though?
absolutely.
I think the Todd Monken hiring in Cleveland is not good for the New York Giants development. That's a huge loss.
That is a very fair point, and I have no idea why anyone would want to go to coach the Browns, but Monken agreed. So,
I don't know, man. I know that Todd Monken lost out on would have lost out on a great opportunity if it did come together, but I mean, that team's a mess. I don't know if you've seen it over the
yeah.
past few days, but Jim Schwartz is livid. He's out.
hmm hmm
He felt like he should have been the head coach, and he's like,
He should have
forget
been.
you guys. I'm not
Yeah.
sticking around here.
And I guess for Monken's side, I can kind of see why if he's offered a head coaching job, he would take it because he's 60 years old now. So, and I don't think he's ever been a head coach. So it's like, hey, this is my one shot to be a head coach. So go for it. But you're coaching the worst team that's ever been made.
Should you? But yeah, but should you coach for a team where like your ceiling? I mean, like here's the thing. I'm a
Yeah.
different guy, Andrew. Clearly, I think all the time about how likely am I to succeed. That's my
hmm
first, second, third thought. And I would rather make maybe slightly less money, but be successful and enjoy my life than take a
hmm
job and take a crazy amount of money and hate my life because of how bad my team is.
That's totally fair. And that's why a lot of people pulled out of that Browns job. I mean, Udinski, the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, had two interviews for the Browns. He's 30 years old. He's young. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. It's
I don't know,
it's
man.
crazy.
I don't
And then
understand it.
another head coaching job that I thought is getting too much hype. I understand that's overall a fine hire, but there are people out there saying that this team is going to turn around. I'm thinking, I don't know. There's been no proof that Robert Saleh has had a good head coaching career. He's
I
been a good
agree with you.
DC,
Yeah.
but him going to the Titans and then bringing in Dayball to be their OC, that's fine, but I don't see this. Like I heard on a podcast I listen to a lot, that the guys on that show were predicting that the Tennessee Titans might be one of these teams that change it around and make the playoffs next year. I'm thinking, what?
They don't
This
have the
team has
tools.
they have very limited talent. They might be the least talented team in the league. Them and the
I think
Jets
that's
compete for
absolutely
that.
well, the Raiders would have a word with you about that.
I think the Raiders have more talent. More
I don't
because
know,
I mean
man.
Brock Bowers and Ginty
The
are awesome.
the wide receiver core for the Raiders, there's like no wide receiver core. The
That's
offensive line
fair,
is
but they got
bad.
some superstars on that team. What
You know that
superstars do the Titans have?
the Raiders had the worst offensive line last year, according to
hmm
PFF. They the
hmm
worst, like by a long stretch. Like it was bad.
Totally fair. Totally fair. But they still got some superstar. I'd pick their roster over the Titans roster. I'm not saying it's like a by a large margin, but I would pick the
Oh,
roster of the Titans roster and
I would
just
have
fill
to
some
think
holes.
about that, man. I'd have to really think
Yeah.
about that. But
Yeah. I mean, who the Titans have? I mean, their best player is Jeffrey Simmons, who's 32 years old.
I still feel like they have more to work with. Let's,
They have two running backs that are fine, not great. Tony
yes.
Pollard and Spears, they're fine. Um, their receivers, good luck. Calvin Ridley isn't anybody anymore, and Elick A is fine. Chigakonkwo is fine. Cam Ward could be an up-and-coming player. He has potential, but he's not there anywhere near there yet.
I guess I see what you're saying. I don't know, man. It's not great. Both of those
Yeah,
rosters are not good.
100%. 100%. You don't want either roster at all.
No.
But yeah, there's people saying that this Tennessee Titans team is going to turn this around next year. I mean, they have a lot of cap space. Maybe they draft well having the second pick or whatever pick they have. But I don't know. I don't see it in 1 or 2 years. I mean, Robert Saleh, I know he was coaching the Jets and no one wins over there. But what has he shown that he's a good head coach? He's a pretty decent DC, but I don't see it. And Dayball, he had success with Josh Allen, but that's Josh Allen. A lot of people can have success with Josh Allen. Is Cam Ward going to turn into Josh Allen? I highly doubt it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to have a lot of success in Tennessee. But there was a show I watched said that they're going to win the division next year. I'm thinking, what? I mean, I know teams take a big jump, like the Patriots were last place, then took a jump, won the division, and are now in the Super Bowl. But they had Drake May, and they had some pieces on that team on defense already. And they picked up a really good running back and a great coach, and they had the easiest schedule in the league. But, that's besides the point. I just I just don't see it with the Titans right now. So that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't understand. And of course, with the Browns, Todd Monken, best of luck for you. Best of luck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Um, did you say your second hire that you liked? Stefanski, I agree with you. Oh,
It's
Harbaugh. You said
Stefanski and
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh.
That's
Yeah.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any other comments I'd add to what you say, Andrew. I mean, we've kind of already talked about the Bills, but I cannot believe I was wrong. I really did not think they were going to hire Joe Brady.
Mm.
I
Hmm.
just I this is my opinion. I'm not a fan of creating a hole and then filling that hole internally to create another hole.
I could see that. Yeah.
I felt like that's what they did. And they still were going to
Hmm.
have to replace defensive coordinator this year, so they got to figure out that one too. And
Hmm.
eh, I wish Joe Brady the best of luck. I like him. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, and it would be awesome to see him succeed. I just don't
Hmm.
see, I don't know. He's got a tall hill to climb. And
Yeah.
here's the other part too, I think that sucks for Joe Brady. They're going to ask him to be amazing immediately because he's been with the team. I
Yeah.
don't
And the team has a lot of talent. So yeah, if he struggles, he's on the hot seat immediately.
I don't know. I don't love the setup for him. I feel like the odds are stacked against him.
Hmm.
And we'll see. When they jumped on Joe Brady last time to become the offensive coordinator and let was it Frazier that was the previous one? I can't remember the previous person's name. But when they let go of the previous offensive coordinator,
Hmm.
that was a great move. It saved their season.
Yep.
It allowed them to make
Yep.
the
Brady looked
playoffs.
great there. Hmm.
But it's just a really tall hill to climb. And I don't love the optics. I don't love the whole Keon Coleman stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
I,
Their owner has totally shipwrecked the way that team looks like from that press conference. That was awful.
I just don't know what's going on, man. And I know that Bean walked back a little bit and took ownership of the pick, but here's my
Hmm.
problem. What is Bean saying in private? I just feel like an owner doesn't. This
Hmm.
Bills owner, like, it doesn't strike me as Jerry Jones, where going off the cuff, not talking to people, Terry Pagula.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like that maybe he made a comment that Bean made in private and Bean's trying to cover up for him, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. That's kind of the optics I felt. Could be totally wrong. And that could have been a situation where they were just not on the same page. That's possible. But I just do not love how that all played out. It's not great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And the
I
Bills should be a great place that you want to coach because who would want to coach Josh Allen? And you always have a chance at the playoffs with that quarterback. But
um
with that ownership group, I'd probably pass.
yeah, I mean I don't blame you. It's a weird situation. Can we get to a couple of coordinator hires?
Absolutely. I know one that you want to talk about.
Yes. So I'll comment on the other ones around the league first and then work my way back to Philly.
Okay.
Um, but I am intrigued in the Jonathan Gannon hire in Green Bay. Um,
Yeah, I hear you. That is
it
interesting.
it's going to be weird. I personally, I have a lot of bad memories with that guy with how the end of the season went when we went to the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
I can't help but feel like that Jonathan Gannon was mentally checked out thinking about his,
Head coaching career.
yeah.
Hmm.
And it just, I just, they played so badly as a defense that it can't be a zero factor. It can't be a
Hmm.
non-factor. that that's why they played so poorly on offense. The part that makes me extra annoyed is that Shane Steichen took the Colts job. Like our offense looked just as crisp, and I feel like he still poured his heart out to make sure the offense was ready. And I can't understand
Mm-hmm.
what happened with Gannon. But it's
Mm-hmm.
in the back of my mind that he quit on the team, that he was just more focused on winning it, figuring things out in Arizona. But who knows? I I wish things would have ended differently. It's hard not to think about it though, with
Yeah.
how bad the defense was. That being said,
Yeah.
the defense was good that year. He has limited, like honestly, Jonathan Gannon has really, really limited experience. He only coached defensive coordinator for the Eagles for 2 years. And before that, he wasn't a defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be really interesting to see him jump into Green Bay, and we'll see what happens. He is going to be working with a really talented group, so that could
For
help
sure.
him.
Yeah. And
Um,
Micah's going to come back probably, if I was going to guess, around the week 4 or 5 range.
probably.
Yeah.
The defensive coordinator hire I am watching and so bummed it happened was Christian Parker to the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
was, I know you mentioned about we struggled at one cornerback spot, but listen, man, if you have three solid tires and one flat, all
Oh,
you
I
can do
know.
is,
Yeah, that's the point I was making. I made a joke in the chat that said, "Well, the you could argue the secondary was the weakest part of the Eagles," and then I said, "It was one player that was the weakest part of the
yeah,
Eagles defense."
dude, if you have a flat tire, you can only keep putting more
Mm-hmm.
air in the tire. That's all you can do. And the Eagles just had
Mm-hmm.
one flat tire in the secondary the whole season. And
Yep.
it was a nuisance for sure. It caused a ton of problems. But I definitely think that Christian Parker is going to be good. Now, I will mention I am annoyed that the Cowboys stole our defensive backs coach, and we requested to interview their offensive coordinator who
Oh.
has
Mm-hmm.
zero play calling experience. And the Cowboys were like, no. Next time, Eagles, you say no if they say no. This is a trade for trade thing. You don't get to just take our guys.
So you requested to speak with their OC.
Uh-huh. Because he's not calling
So,
plays.
but I'm not fully sure on the rules, but I think if it's an increased job,
Oh,
you
it's an
can't
you're
say no.
right. That's true. I
So
forgot
it
about
was
that.
D back
You
to DC.
you're
So
you're
I don't think the
correct.
Eagles had a choice in that.
I hate that. I still hate that rule. It should be different. And by the way,
Hmm.
there's a huge difference between being an offensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator calling plays. That
That's true.
that is a promotion.
That's true.
They should
That's
honestly
very
like
true.
rewrite the rules to
Hmm.
acknowledge that because it's not the same thing. Like for
Hmm.
sure. But
But hey,
um
you're getting an ex-Vikings quarterback, so congratulations.
yeah, I was terrified that we were going to get Brian Dable as our offensive coordinator, and
Mm.
I did not want Dable. The vibes are off for me on him. And then the
Hmm.
one I kept hearing was Jim Bob Cooter, who's the offensive coordinator for the
For the
Colts.
Colts, yeah.
And I just don't want that guy either. I think the Eagles did the best they could with the market for offensive coordinator. Um,
Yeah, you guys looked at all the big names and all the big names went elsewhere.
yeah. Well, I mean, Stefanski got a head coaching job. Joe Brady got a head coaching job. Tom Bunkin
Hmm.
got a head coaching job.
Yep.
So you got to take what you can get. I do like though that I'm glad they didn't play it safe. I'm glad they didn't just take the safe option to
Mm.
reinvent the offense. They went with someone up and coming. And I would like to eventually talk to Stephen more about it to understand what role might he have played. But
Hmm.
I would say Jordan Love becoming a better passer has to, in some part, be connected to Mannion. I don't know how much, but at least a little bit. Because you look at the improvement since Mannion is there, and he's definitely made some headway. And Mannion oversees quarterbacks. He was a
Hmm.
quarterback. Like, I think that's what I love about this move. I love that we have a former quarterback as our offensive coordinator. I think that is
Hmm.
so helpful. And I think that was a really big advantage for Jalen Hurts when he had Kellen Moore in 2024. It's just nice to have a quarterback to talk to because if you're having frustrations, it's way easier to explain it to someone that's played the position than trying to
Right.
explain it to someone that has not played the position. And that just it makes a big difference because you can't
Hmm.
quite grasp why they're struggling with something. Um, I think that we see a little bit of that with Sean McVay sometimes in that coaching tree where like they obsess on play concepts that they think should work. But if you're not a quarterback, it can be hard to translate that over. It can be hard to get
Mm-hmm.
that to work. So I like the move. I give it like probably let's say a B plus. It's not like wow, amazing, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh my gosh, we absolutely flopped on this move. I don't think that at all.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely a huge increase from what you guys had last year.
Oh my gosh. I Yeah. Now here's the part that I'm interested to see is who do we hire to work with Mannion on his coaching staff?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is going to be the more important question. I don't know if you heard, but there's an article that came out just the other day that the Eagles took away the running game coordinator, I think is what it is, from Jeff Stoutland, which I was honestly kind of surprised about. He's our offensive
Yeah.
line coach.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but we do got to figure something out though with the offense, man. We got to get the running game
Mm-hmm.
going. We got to get the passing game going. We can't flounder around like we did. So.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, man. But it's a good first step. This is an acceptable move. It's a good swap out. I would do this move every time that you would ask me in like every scenario over Patullo. There's no way
Mm-hmm.
we should have brought him back.
Absolutely. And what positions are still what coaching jobs are still open for the Eagles? Is it just the DB coach now?
No, we resolved that one. I can't remember who we hired. There was actually
Okay.
two defensive backs coaches. There was the defensive backs coach, which was Christian Parker, but then there
Mm-hmm.
was also our safeties coach, and he's just
Okay.
sliding into the taking over both
Gotcha.
positions, which is not a tall climb. Like that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Eagles have been lucky. They have a great defensive staff, and we have not
Mm-hmm.
been pillaged like I thought we might have. We might lose Clint Hurt. He's our defensive line coach. He's been awesome helping Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Ajomo
Mm-hmm.
and Williams, but hopefully we get to keep him for one more year. Um, Honestly, I hope we can keep one of these mainstays, either our linebacker coach or our defensive line coach, to take over for Vic Fangio when he eventually leaves. I think we probably got 3 to 4 years at most, and I'd rather just pay those
Mm-hmm.
guys a crazy ton of money to stay as a assistant coach to eventually take over for Vic Fangio's defense to have the continuity rather than build a whole new defense again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll see what happens. And as far as offense, my understanding is the Eagles are pretty much giving free rein to the offensive coordinator. So there might be some more
Mm.
firings coming.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah. Sean
he,
Mannion might be like, yeah, I don't like the way that guy talks to me. He's gone.
I mean, I don't think it's anything personal. I just think is this guy going to help me be successful or
Right.
not? So,
Right.
but now that we have our new offensive coordinator, we got to nail down the quarterback position. I think that's the one I think I'm most interested in seeing changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we just need a different cast in there. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We've got our offensive coordinator now, and now we just move on to the next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on the Vikings side, there's a few job openings that are actually still open that are kind of
Didn't you
not a
guys
big
lose
deal, but they're
someone
important.
to become a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, our DB's coach as well, Durante Jones. He was going to be in line
Okay,
to take over for Flores if Flores left, um, but he went to the Commanders, and so I don't know if he's
that's
going to
right.
call plays because
Dan Quinn.
yeah, Quinn called plays the second half of the season, but from what I'm hearing is I think they're going to start with Durante Jones calling plays, and Quinn's just going to be the overseer of everything. But if things don't work out well, Dan Quinn will pull it immediately. So we'll see how
Yeah,
that goes.
I would rather go a second if I was Jones. You take the lead, Quinn. I don't know.
Yeah. But Durante Jones never called plays in the NFL as a DC, so it's something that he's gonna want to try to do in this league.
That's fair.
He was a DC at LSU a few years ago. I think he called plays there, but not in the NFL. But he had a lot of hype. A lot of people liked him, and so it made sense that he was going to get sniped at some point. So we have that opening. Our D line coach went to college, I believe. I think he got a job in college, and then our O line coach, which is the biggest deal, his contract expired, and we are like, "Yeah, you can go your merry way," which I think. there's some people that think that's not quite fair because our O line was so ravaged with injuries this year, but it wasn't just this year. It was the past 4 years, the whole time he's been coaching our O line. That our O line has been like, if you look at the analytics, bottom third in every single category, as far as pressure rate, sacks given up, the run game, everything. We've been bottom third. Outside this year, we're 11th as far as yards per attempt, but as far as running the ball, but the rest of the, I mean, everything else was awful. And quarterback play has a lot to do with pressures and sacks because holding on to the ball too long, all that. But we couldn't just bring back the whole crew back. Some had to change. And we were looking at the O line coach from the Falcons, but I believe he went to the Ravens. So he was like the biggest name. I forgot his name. Man, I can't think of his name, but he was the biggest available O line coach because Stefanski brought the guy from Tennessee over. But Callahan, I think. But he got snagged. And so now we're either going to promote our assistant O line coach, which I'm not a huge fan of, because like you said, when there's a big hole, why do you hire from within to create another hole? And with our O line being so bad, why would we want to have the same voice in there? I want an outside voice. And we're talking to
Agreed.
the, I think the OC from the Dolphins. So, Mike
Oh,
McDaniel was the play caller, but the
yeah.
OC from the Dolphins, we're talking to him to be our O line coach because he used to be an O line coach for a long time in this league. I forgot his name. Um, but we're talking to him to see if he wants to come around. And the Dolphins' run game, now of course they had Devon Achan. He's awesome, but the Dolphins' running game's been really really good. So I think that's interesting. I hope we're able to get him. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the new Dolphins head coach, who did they hire? Jeff Hafley, the DC from the Packers, if he wants to keep him or not. We'll see. Um, but that's what we're looking at for the Vikings. But the biggest news for us, obviously,
Is it
is
Frank Smith?
yes, that's the name.
Okay. Because I saw
Yeah.
that I saw the Eagles interviewed him, which by the way, we call dibs if you don't take him. Because I am
hmm
obsessed with we have got to have a better like we need better um assistant coaches.
What you guys interview him for? Because you have your O line coach and now you have your OC.
I don't know. That's the question. Sometimes
Okay.
one thing the Eagles do that they're really, really good at that other teams aren't is when they interview a coach, they interview them for multiple opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So, like they go through the offensive coordinator search, but they're also like, oh, pin this point down. Like they would be a
Mm-hmm.
good quarterback coach or they would be a good wide receiver coach. They did that when they were looking for a new defensive coordinator. Their linebacker coach, uh, Bobby King, interviewed as a defensive coordinator candidate,
Mm-hmm.
but Vic Fangio became available, and so they went with Vic Fangio, and then they brought Bobby King in under him.
Yeah.
Um, And so sometimes I just say that I think that's a good approach to do with their
Mm-hmm.
interviews. And so I give the Eagles props for that. They do pretty good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, we would definitely happily take Smith.
Well, we'll see where he goes. I mean, I would say probably the biggest chance is he just stays because Halfley's a defensive guy, so he needs a good OC. And Frank Smith is possibly a good OC. Who knows? Because McDaniel called
It,
plays there. We'll see.
the part that's hard about that setup is I don't know. I just think it can be very helpful to bring in your own staff.
Well, for sure, for sure. But who's out there for Jeff Halfley? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
They
Um,
picked up Nathaniel Hackett as their oh no, they got Bobby Slowick, right? Yeah, Bobby Slowick is the
okay,
new offensive coordinator. That's who they
for the
have.
Dolphins.
And
Okay,
Nathaniel Hackett will be their quarterback coach.
all right.
That's weird. I love the Bobby Slowick hire, though.
Yeah, I'm not a Hackett fan. I don't think he can hack it.
All right,
That
Andrew, it's
was
time
low
to
hanging
go.
fruit. That was
It's
low
time to
hanging
go.
fruit. I couldn't avoid that.
It's time to end this. Let's get this over with. Only one
You know,
dad joke per episode.
and that was the one I had this episode. It was the last episode that I had one or two.
Yeah,
So
you
hey,
had two.
but
So
yeah. But the biggest thing for the Vikings is we're able to keep Flores. Now, there are still two head coaching jobs open, but that he hasn't been requested to interview for either one. And I'm under the impression that he interviews for a couple head coaching jobs. He interviewed for the Commanders DC job. And then after his interviews, he comes back and signs a huge deal to come back as the Vikings DC. To me, that's just, he says, okay, I went out there, got my name out there. I'm coming back to coach you guys. I think that he is not interested in the Raiders or the Cardinals. Even if they called, I would be under the impression that he re-signed knowing that either A, he's not interested in them, or B, they're not interested in him. So I think
Yeah.
he's back. And even if those jobs don't get filled anytime soon, I don't think we have a concern about him going over there.
I've
So that's huge because I
yeah,
mean, in my mind, he's the best DC in this league. I know you would argue with Vic Fangio. Both those are very good arguments. They're
he's
definitely
top
top
three.
two or three.
Yeah.
And I just love how aggressive he is on defense. Which some quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, can pick you apart. But he adjusted this year. He made some changes this year on defense that was not there last year. I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. I like the way I'm seeing there. And so I just love him coming back, which him coming back might mean that Harrison Smith has a chance to not retire yet. Without Flores there, guaranteed Smith is gone. 100% guaranteed. With Flores coming back, there's a tiny chance. I still think it's probably like an 80% chance that Harrison Smith retires. But with Flores back, Flores might be calling and say, hey, Harry, you want to go one more round? You could skip training camp. You could just come back in great shape and you can just coach our defense. Or, and this was very interesting. I don't know if he has any interest or not, but with Durante Jones leaving, would Harrison Smith come back and coach our secondary?
Mm.
That would be interesting because he is the coach on the field. So I don't know. Lots of interesting things that could happen. But I
Yeah.
love that Flores is back. That was the biggest thing. If Flores left, our defense would have been back probably to average. I don't think Durante Jones, if he made the DC jump, I don't think he would have been able to have the same concepts. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. I'm glad we got to the coaching
Yeah,
hires and just the shuffling around the
absolutely.
league.
Yeah, and I mean there was 10 head coaching openings this year. That's wild. I think that's is that the most ever? I don't know.
Oh,
That's a
I
lot.
the Ravens head coaching hire. I actually really, really liked what they did. I think that that's a
Yeah,
solid
yeah.
move.
With Jesse Minter, yeah,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think that's a
He's a good
respectable
coach.
choice. Yeah.
I would have kept Harbaugh, but he's a good coach.
See, to me, I would have rather, and it's probably just a matter of that Joe Brady preferred Baltimore, but that's who I would have wanted if I was Baltimore. I feel like that Joe Brady
Mm,
could have been just what Lamar Jackson needed to get to another
It's
level.
interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like McDermott might take the year off, just chill. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens there. He is a head coach that shouldn't be available. He's a great head coach, but he's available. And Tomlin's also going to take the year off, but he's not really even available. If anyone wanted Tomlin, they have a trade for him,
Yeah.
which no one's going to do that right now.
Mm. No,
Yeah, well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
no, that's it for me, man.
Okay.
And gonna enjoy hopefully the quiet this weekend, and
hmm
we'll get ready for
Get
Super Bowl
prepared for
weekend the
Super
week
Bowl.
after.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Because the Pro Bowl is pointless
Yeah, it's not even.
because they're bringing in quarterbacks that had 7 touchdowns, 11 picks. So, congratulations to the Pro Bowl player, Shadur Sanders.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a popularity vote, and for some reason, the young generation likes him.
I've got no comment for you, Andrew.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yep. Well, this was good, man. Glad we had a chance to
Yeah,
talk.
absolutely. Me too. And then we'll get in our Super Bowl talk next week. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see everybody.